Shining the Light with IUMC welcomes you to another Meditate at 8.
I felt my heart strangely warmed. John Wesley said these words on May 24th, 1738, after attending a Bible study meeting on Aldersgate Street in London that would forever change his life. Aldersgate Day is a significant day in the history of the Methodist movement, a day that marks a transformative encounter with God's grace in the life of its founder, John Wesley. It was at this gathering where Martin Luther's preface to the book of Romans was read and discussed that Wesley experienced a profound spiritual awakening, an encounter with God's grace that ignited a fire within his soul. Wesley had spent years earnestly seeking God, striving to live a holy life and diligently serving others. However, deep down, he felt a sense of emptiness and inadequacy. He had read the Bible many times, studied it in seminary and on his own, but suddenly it became personal. The words of the Apostle Paul, through Luther's writings, stirred his heart and revealed a new understanding of God's grace and salvation. At that moment, as Wesley later described, he felt his heart strangely warmed. The assurance of God's love and forgiveness washed over him. It was an encounter with grace that would propel him into a lifelong mission of proclaiming the good news and calling others to experience the same life-changing encounter with God. It not only changed Wesley, but it also had an effect on all people who then and now call themselves Methodist. Today is Aldersgate Day, a day that reminds us that God's grace is available to all, regardless of our past mistakes, shortcomings, or feelings of unworthiness. Wesley's experience teaches us that it's not our own efforts or merits that earn us salvation, but the unmerited favor and love of God freely given through Jesus Christ. God's grace has the power to break chains, heal wounds, and bring new life. Like Wesley, we too may find ourselves striving to live a righteous life, yet feeling incomplete or distant from God. Aldersgate Day invites us to examine our own hearts and ask ourselves if we've truly experienced the warmth of God's grace. On this day, we are called to open our hearts and invite God's grace to penetrate our lives in a new and profound way. We're invited to lay down our burdens, our self-reliance, and our own attempts to earn salvation, and instead surrender to the power of God. It's through this surrender that we can experience the same heartwarming encounter that Wesley experienced, a moment that changes everything. God's grace is not limited to a single moment in history, but is continually present to renew and transform. If you have not yet had your own Aldersgate Day, consider making this that day in your life.